Welcome back to the High School Fan Zone on a Wednesday night. We're actually going to do something a little bit unique tonight because if you're watching on TV, you see my friend Max Kattwinkel to my left. Max is going to be here for the Pirate Fan Zone and the Patriot Fan Zone. We're going to touch on a lot of different stuff. He stuck with me for 4 segments. I promise it goes quick. And if it's like when Joe comes, Joe and I start talking about stuff. I feel bad for the young guys when they're here with Joe and I because we'll start talking about stuff and they'll be like, what are these old dudes talking about?
Yeah, we go back a ways, don't we?
Yes, we do. In fact, we had 2 baseball coaches on before. I tell people all the time, Max was just this skinny baseball coach when I met him, and now look at him, which...
Now he's just a chubby athletic director.
if that, no comment, because I was once one of those chubby guys covering you. Shallow water and posts in baseball, correct?
Yes.
Those were the 2 stops, and then you became you may have been a good football coach all along, but you became a well-known, very good football coach. I want to start, we're going to talk about Lubbock Cooper and Liberty, a little bit of both, but I want to start with something that I know is very near and dear to your heart because it's next Wednesday, correct?
It is. It's coming up.
I'm going to look at it slowly here. The Texas Tech chapter of the National Football Foundation and College Hall of Fame Scholar Athlete Banquet and Awards Program.
That's a mouthful, isn't it? Yeah,
yes, it is. I told when Chris Level emailed me this, and I told him I wanted to hear him say it a few times to make sure I knew what I was talking about. It's a really cool thing. The long name aside, I want you to explain it. It's a little bit more near and dear to your heart because I looked at this list. I saw the tweet that came out. You know one of these recipients pretty well.
Yeah, that was special. My son was he was chosen as one of the scholar athletes, and so that is very special.
Son Keenan, make sure you you got 2 of them. I've got 2 daughters. I know you got to make sure you mention the right one.
Yes, Keenan. He's a senior and he's graduating, going to Texas Tech next year, and so. This is a really cool evening. It's number one, we're celebrating the Texas Tech and their scholar athlete, and then we select 22 of our local high school athletes from all over West Texas, and we have 20 schools represented this year. We have $49,000 worth of scholarship money going out to these 22 high school athletes to help further their college education. They're not tied to playing college football. Obviously, they're just they're recognized for their contributions on the field, in the classroom, and in the community. So it's a pretty special award.
We could go through the whole list, but I want to throw the Lubbock kids out there in particular. Mm-hmm. You mentioned Keenan, Luke Arrington, the Monterey quarterback, who really helped them turn things around a little bit this year's one. Jack Corbin from Friendship. Let's see, there's Keenan, Solomon, and I'm sorry, Solomon, I'm going to butcher your name. Solomon from Coronado. DJ Mann introduced me to him as a freshman, and he said his name, and I knew I would. 4 years later, I still struggle with it. Joe Rosendo from Lubbock High, Bobby Ross from Estacado, Cole Stanzioni from Lubbock Cooper, and then I want to mention one other thing that person you're honoring, the outstanding contribution to amateur football, a guy named Brad Davis, who these 2 guys in here know pretty well. Son of Bobby Davis, was the Friendship head coach after his dad. I believe a Hale Center offensive coordinator now.
He is.
He spent some time at your old school at Shallow Water. Mm-hmm. A good friend of mine. Brad's done a lot of good things. There's a reason he's being honored with that award. But it's just an incredible night. When I got back to Lubbock and people started telling me about this, I did my research, and this year, unfortunately, I'm going to be on radio that night, so I won't be able to attend. It falls at a tricky time of year sometimes for what I do.
Yes, sir.
But the kids you honor, the kids you're recognizing, just the list I read, those are, you mentioned, they may not all play college football, but the kids, the people that are being honored is really cool.
It is. I think it's an honor for them just because it's a statement of what they've done for their programs, but also for their communities and for their schools. They're excellent students, and they are great for their communities. They represent their communities. They serve their communities. And so it's a cool evening.
And I'm going to get Joe Sexton may show up at Estacado's graduation. A lot of coaches may, just to make sure Bobby Ross walks across that stage so they don't have to deal with him anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
I met him when he had just turned 15. Joe Cluley introduced me to him, and he said, "This is Bobby Ross. He's a freshman." I was like, "No," because he's been built like a man from day one as a high school kid. So we're going to come back and talk more Lubbock Cooper sports and Liberty sports on the combined Patriot and Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score.
Breaking down Lubbock Cooper sports. This is the Pirate Fan Zone podcast from 100.7 The Score. Diving headfirst into Lubbock Cooper athletics. You're listening to the Pirate Fan Zone on 100.7 The Score and the 100.7 The Score mobile app.
Welcome back into, we're going to call it the Pirate Fan Zone here for this segment because that's normally what it is on Wednesdays. Wednesdays are Friendship, Lubbock, Cooper, and Liberty, 6 to 7 p.m. Monday nights are LISD night. We switch back in the fall. We'll go a little bit longer, 3 nights a week when we get into football. Those guys have to talk to me a lot longer. You're doing like a football stint here tonight. And again, when Joe's on here, it gets – those poor young guys don't know what to do when Joe and I – really most of the football coaches, because it's just guys sitting around talking football. Mm-hmm. So we'll figure that out. But let's talk a little bit about Lubbock Cooper, what's going on there. This has been 2 years of transition. The friendship coaches were in here. We're talking about how things are going to do. You've had a year and almost 2 years now to kind of absorb and adjust and learn. What has that been like for you as what did we decide? Executive Athletic Director?
I mean, yeah.
That sounds nice.
That's the title Keith gave me, but I mean, it's all the same. It's athletic director and making sure supporter coaches and our kids and for 2 different high schools, and so it's been a learning curve for sure. Year 2 has been a lot smoother. Year 1 was challenging for sure, but it's getting easier by the day.
Because just like Friendship's going to do, you guys started out with just freshmen and sophomores at Liberty, and that's automatic growing pains there. But I'm not sure people understood that at Lubbock Cooper that there's going to be growing pains too when you start losing kids. Your brother-in-law, Chip Darden, and I had a bunch of talks about this. I loved his answer. Early last football season, he said, "I don't look at kids any differently. We're going to coach them the same. There may not be as many of them." And he actually made a good point. Maybe you get to coach a little bit more because there's not as many. You don't have to spread yourself as thin as coaches.
It is. There's always a advantage to what people think maybe is a negative situation, and there's a lot of good things that have come out of this for sure. It's the kids are not the problem. Anytime you open up a second high school, that's the hardest one to do, opening up your second one. It's just the relationship and the emotions that go with that. It takes a while, and just like anything, they heal, and people learn the new, and change is not fatal. And so it's been good. But when you have built up those relationships with kids, with adults, with the community, and all of a sudden you have a new relationship with your coaches, with your kids, with your community. It's new and it's raw, and but it is fine. And people, as long as you're trying to do it the right way, everything will be fine, and emotions will calm down.
And to me, it's hard to see if growing pains have affected anything in the field of play, because volleyball, you've not missed a beat. Dana Hill did a great job while she was there. Mike Moffitt comes in. I know you guys now 3 years in a row have gone 4 rounds deep, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So clearly things are still working pretty good in volleyball. Chips, I would, if watching you guys for the last 6 years, the way Chip and his coaches have steered through the last 2 years is impressive to me as anything that I've seen since I've been here, because they've had some hiccups. They've had some hardships to come through and just keep plugging through. They're going to beat Alito, or they're going to beat who'd they lose to this last year? Same team that it was a Metroplex team. You guys are going to beat one of those soon. Yeah. I have no qualms about saying that, because you guys are there. You're matching them step for step. Basketball, every time I talk to Will about early January, they're starting to gel. They're starting to get better. Did the same thing. Girls basketball was a little bit different. You guys had a couple of classes there that
they're
unprecedented.
Mm-hmm.
Jaden's going to be fine. And then you get to the spring. What Sherry Colwell's doing right now in that district, that monster district in softball, is incredible. And then Chris Baker, he'll kind of shrug and act like it's no big deal, but if they win Friday night, they're going to win that district, and they're a couple of plays away from being undefeated in that district right now. So I haven't seen a big drop-off on the field.
All the coaches that you just mentioned, what they do a really good job of, besides being just really good people and coaches, is that they control what they can control. They control what's in their field, what's within the lines, and they don't get too worked up about things they can't control. Who's going to school there? Who they're going to be able to coach? Things like that. They coach the kids they have, and they do it with a positive attitude. And I think you're kind of seeing the success of that. I think everybody is, and I'm really proud of them. But proud of them as coaches, but proud of them as the people they are.
I'm going to throw Devin, soccer coaches. You guys had a great soccer season as well. I'm going to throw Devin Ramby out there because he lost some girls, and he lost some athletes on the girls' side, and he told me, I don't know, we're just not going to have a very good season. I think we're going to struggle. And then the boys, all of a sudden, you look up and the boys are right there in the thick of things. And so that's a coaching guy, because until I got to know him a little bit, I didn't know that he coached with you in football. Mm-hmm. He coached with Terry Baxter in baseball. So he's being the friendship guys we're talking about. Sometimes coaches just know how to coach. It doesn't matter what the sport is.
They do. And again, to me, the common theme between all these coaches is they're coaching the kids they have, and they're doing it the right way. And man, I'm really proud. Of Lubbock Cooper High School, all of that coaching staff. It's one of the top in the states, and I know I'm biased, but they're just good humans, and they treat kids the right way, and they coach hard, and they know their stuff.
You're supposed to be biased. We're getting close to the end of this segment on Lubbock Cooper. I don't know if this is a curtain you want to pull back or not. I know Brian Gerlich had to kind of wait with the new school to decide when they could talk about realignments. 10 months away. Mm-hmm. We're about 6 months away from when you start crunching numbers. Where do you feel like Lubbock Cooper will be this next one? Do you think it will change much?
No, they're going to drop a little bit. They're going to drop a little bit until about 2028. Their numbers are going to drop just by the way we're divided up. But they're never going to drop below that 5A D2 number, 5A number. They'll be smaller, but there's not going to be a whole lot of change for them as far as that goes.
Makes it easy on the website, dude, though, because I know when we get to this split system, Lubbock Cooper and Liberty, Division II, because you guys are always the one of, if not the smaller school in the district.
That is true.
Coming up on the break, that's going to wrap us up on the Pirate Fan Zone, but we have two more segments. We're going to talk Liberty sports a little bit more intensely after the break in the Patriot Fan Zone. This is 100.7 The Score, and I am Randy Rosetta.